Welcome to Founders Future, a podcast powered by Closers.io, where we dive into the journeys of innovative entrepreneurs and explore the road ahead of them and their companies. I'm your host, Olivia Salmons, and in each episode we'll uncover the stories behind impactful ventures, the challenges faced along the way, and the strategies driving their future growth. Today I'm excited to be joined by Tanya Naydukh, the finance goddess, a personal finance educator, content creator, and founder of the Finance Goddess platform, where she helps people build confidence, clarity, and control around money. Through simple, relatable education, she breaks down money tips that often feel overwhelming, empowering individuals to make smarter financial decisions, build long-term security, and remove fear and shame from conversations around money. Tanya, welcome to Founders Future. Thank you so much for joining me today. It's such a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here as well.
Cool. I'm excited to dive in and learn more about your journey. So, typically with all of my guests, I do actually like to start at the beginning. So if you don't mind taking me back to what it was you was doing before you started up the Finance Goddess, and then from there, what was the motivation behind it?
Yeah, I guess you can say it all started with this big word of people searching for their passion. I think a lot of us can relate to that. And for the longest time, I didn't know what that was. And I think the answer is really not like looking for it incessantly, but just following where your curiosity takes you. So that's how it started with me. I started learning about investing and doing my first investments 5 or 6 years ago at this point now. And then I realized that as I go through education and courses, which I found fascinating, and it opened my mind, like, how did I not know about this? How did I not learn in school or in university even how to manage my own money? Like, I could have been so much further along than I am already, but luckily I found that information when I did. So that took me to wanting to explore more, and I saw that all the information out there is just, there's so much of it and it's really confusing. But like a good financial strategy, like a solid one, there's not that many ways to go about it. So once you learn it, like, I just thought that every new book I was reading was basically telling me the same thing.
Yeah.
And at some point I was like, maybe I can be the person who also brings this knowledge to more people. And that's essentially what brought me to this. And now I can definitely say that this is my passion. And I found it like at 36. Before that, I was working at a corporate company. I'm still working there. So I'm in sort of transition period at the moment. And it actually helped me to be a stepping stone because about a year ago, I volunteered to present at a corporate like a breakfast event where you could learn, and it was organized by a women community. And all of this information is directed at women that I'm working on.
Yeah.
So basically, I participated. I gave a speech about wealth inequality between men and women and why that happens. To have investing and managing your money better could be one of those stepping stones that women can take and bridge that gap. And from that point on, I launched an investment club inside the company. So once a month, I give a lecture, and I still do that. So it's been over a year now. And that has served as a launch pad, soft launch pad for my own business, where I started doing coaching with the women. So that's like how my journey began and still continues.
I love it. And yeah, as you say, starting from just educating yourself and then loving it, and then continue on to, as you say, helping other people now educate themselves and coaching them on finances. And it is a big thing coming out of school, because I was exactly the same. Coming out of school, I had no clue about finances. It's something they just never tell you to do. It's just like almost as if you're expected to know how the world works at the age of 15, which is quite mental in the fact that you brought up as well. So let's dive into obviously the finance goddess a little bit more then. So walk me through, who would you say is your ideal customer? Like, who is it that you really love to work with the most? And then from there, how is you help them and how would you support them along that journey?
Yeah. So I work with women primarily, although I do now today I was working with a couple and sometimes men as well. So primarily women, because I've seen also in my corporate job the conversations, like, so my corporate environment is probably like the biggest exposure I had to men, if I may say, because I work in tech.
Yeah.
And I saw the different conversations that men were having, that were different to what women were talking about. Like they would talk about stocks and Bitcoin, and they bought Tesla and they sold something else. And I was like, do people talk about this? Is this normal, like lunch conversation? And then, so I feel like men are generally curious, and I don't mean to be like gender biased, but they somehow get that information. They somehow get exposure to it. But women oftentimes feel like it's too difficult, it's not for them, they can't understand it. And I want to bring the information to them that it's not difficult and it can be easy to understand. So I focus on women, and I blend a mix of so it's a coaching program where I look at their finances, I help them optimize it, I help them to improve what they're currently doing with the money. And then of course we also focus on limiting beliefs and their money stories, money narratives, where they're coming from. So there's a psychological or spiritual work, if you may, hence the goddess part that kind of
Yeah.
links the money mindset with the spirituality and the energy around money, and of course the good investment strategies. From then on, we move on to education part. I really want women to understand how the stock market works, what are the different tools that they're using, who is a broker, why do you have to use them, and all of these things, that to show them that it's not complicated. So I accompany them all the way. And then finally, after the education part, we build a strategy that works for them based on their spending and their habits. So this is the how the journey is. So it's directed at women. My idea was, I guess, in the very beginning of this journey, is that any woman can be my client. And so I think that kind of prompted me to start like with lower prices, because I wanted everyone to get this information. And what I'm discovering now is that apart from like also potentially leading me to a burnout, wanting to work this way, that just putting higher value on this information is what makes a person accountable to it as well and value it more as well. So I'm at that point where I don't think I'm going to be trying to be everyone's person, but just those who find value in it.
Yeah, I love it. And that's such a good point to make because a lot of the times founders find themselves in the same position. They do want to help everybody. It's like a need and a drive within them to want to offer their services. But having value and people see value in that price point, they trust you a lot more. It's psychology. It's such a weird concept, but it is all about that. They do put the work in, you attract a better kind of customer. And just to go back to your point as well about men and women, I don't think it's being like gender typical or sexist in any way. I just think it's very true. Men seem to have this knack to want to talk about finances, to know about finances, to look after their finances. It's almost like it's in their DNA almost. And for women, I feel like maybe society has not done them too much justice because with the rising feminism, we have more women in corporate, more women taking leadership roles in businesses, Fortune 500, whatever it may be, which is amazing. But the lower end of that is we're not educated the same way that guys are sometimes. So it's just that lack of knowledge. What do we do on the other side of it? How do we make sure it's secure and moving forward? I also really love that you touched on the mindset because that's such a big key as well. It's overcoming limiting beliefs, it's going within yourself. So you do a full holistic approach really tailored to each individual person, which is really nice to see.
Yeah, I think it just comes from, I've done so many courses from what they call like wealth mindset coaches. And I also done the financial advisor training. So like how to be a financial advisor, which is, there's so there's so much polarity there. Like, for example, wealth mindset coach probably most likely will not be able to explain to me what an ETF is.
Yeah,
If I'm being genuine, they can tell you like, you know, how to expand your mind and how to attract more money, but if you don't know what to do with the money you attract,
so
okay,
true.
great. And then financial advisors, like, oh God, if just by learning what they have to learn, which is so much laws and regulations, et cetera, it's the driest information I have ever read or come across. So Like I wanted to be that bridge between, yes, it's so important to treat your money story, your limiting beliefs, how you attract money, how you treat it, because that actually reflects like on a lot of things in your life. On how we behave with money, it shows many different behaviors we have with people, with our relationships, with jobs, with everything. I wanted to offer something more holistic, not just dry investment advice, which is still the majority of the work I do, still more in the investment focus rather than mindset. But
Yeah.
then we also treat that part as well if necessary. Yeah.
Yeah, I like it. I think it brings such a unique edge to both parts of it. As you say, you have the more practical essence of how we're actually going to look after your money, but unlocking your mindset so that you can have that abundance as well. And I'm curious to find out then how you go about acquiring your customers. So, in terms of marketing and channels and methods, like what are you really finding most effective in finding that right person to work with?
So right now it's been so people that've seen me speak or joining one of the lectures that I give. So at work, but then also their recommendations or someone they recommended to, that's
Yeah,
been primarily
right.
how people come across for me. So if I can paint the journey, it's because you need to have a lot of trust when you talk about money. Money is a very sensitive topic.
Yeah,
You have to tell me how much you earn. You have to tell me how much you spend and where. There's a lot of shame for people in that, a lot of guilt, a lot of, oh, I shouldn't
yeah,
have done that. Now I have to tell her that. So there's a lot of trust that needs to be there. And I feel like when they see me speak publicly at an event, currently just as my current job, and then they later follow me on Instagram or something like that, where this trust is nurtured. And I say something that resonates with them and they reach out to me, or I reach out and say, I can take a couple of clients now again. So I got to the point where I had to create a wait list because I wasn't able to cope with all of the demand and my current job responsibilities without going
yeah,
crazy. So it's been going well. I do have to think in the future about scale because at some point, like with coaching, the idea is that at some point they're autonomous and
yeah,
they're teaching them to fish and then they go on and fish without me. So maybe we'll have touch points, but this is like we're together for a short period of time. So you constantly need new people coming
yeah.
in. And right now it's been growing organically, but I think I would need to, I was thinking of probably growing through my Instagram. So that would be the primarily kind of avenue
Yeah.
where I can be creative and share my message. And then if people resonate, then we can work together.
Yeah, I think that's amazing. So I think Instagram is social media in general, but Instagram is such a great way to build that like no trust factor with a stranger, which is, as you say, opening up about finances is quite shameful for people. I know about myself, if someone asked me to list everything I'd spend, I'd be like, I don't even admit half of it to myself. So admitting that to somebody else, it is a big trust that you have to build. Are you thinking like putting on any form of ads as well to drive in a little bit more traffic for yourself, just so that you can have a consistent lead flow and then hopefully switch over full
Yeah.
time as well?
Yeah, for sure. That's something that I've been thinking about to do in the future once I want to focus on scale and potentially just have more time to dedicate just to
Yeah.
doing this. Yeah, for sure.
Awesome. So then what do the next 6 to 12 months have in store for you? When you think about scaling the business, what is the end goal that you think of? Like, what is the vision in your mind?
I'd like to launch group coaching and certain group dynamic that's part of the scale. And also because I believe that when you work in a group, there's a different dynamic that
Yeah,
creates. And it's very healing to also see that other people are facing the same
I
feelings
agree.
of shame and guilt. And it's also healing to show yourself and to face your shadow with the group. So I want to launch a group that's just focusing on the money limiting beliefs and like having to do with that, not the investment part. And I'm also planning on raising my prices, which I actually doing now as we speak, so that I'm able to also focus more on this work and feel like, okay, I can live just from
Yeah,
this. And with that, I believe would have to come more focus on social media and attracting the right kind of people. And the interesting thing about raising prices, because I think it's a challenging issue for a lot of people, for a lot of founders. Like, how do I price myself? Am I worth it? What if I just double or triple what I have been asking? Like, it's a big leap to make mentally sometimes. And the funny thing, though, is that even though I've been trying to be everyone's everyone, I get to see how much money people actually have. And maybe not a lot of coaches get to see that, but I get to see that. And I can honestly say that every single person could have afforded to pay me double, easy.
That's
So,
when you know. That's
like,
when you know when you can see it.
there's a couple of indicators when you know that your price is too low. Is if you're closing every single
Yeah.
sale, that shouldn't be happening. Like, you should hear some no's. And then there was at some point where, like, everyone that I would meet for, like initial 30-minute call that we would do for free, and they would tell me what they're looking for, and then I would tell them what I do. If I close every single one, at some point I was just having too many clients. That's not, you have to hear some no's because your price have to be accordingly. It cannot be for everyone. So yeah, and also on the other hand, I get to see that they could actually have afforded,
Yeah.
because I get to see the other side, and maybe not a lot of people do because they don't have access to that information. So it's just my message to everyone to not assume that your clients are like poor. And
100.
you know,
It's such a good point to make. And a lot of founders find themselves because it's like, how do I value myself? Like, how do I value myself as a product? And some people, it's imposter syndrome getting in the way. They don't trust that their skills match up and that someone can't charge them 5K. But definitely, if you're hearing too many yeses, that is your first indicator. And if you are in the same position as Tanya, where you can actually see their bank accounts, that is your second indicator that you'll be attracting a better kind of person. But a lot going on for you. And also, I love the idea of a group. As you say, it's like a camaraderie of people going through a similar journey, just meeting others in that space, making friends and just bouncing off each other. And then also on your aspect as well, as you are still working corporate full time as well, you can still help more number of people and keep your time
yeah.
limited while you can do. It's just a really nice, easy way for you to really transition full time. Where are you finding the biggest challenge for yourself at the moment, Tanya? Because everything seems smooth sailing. You seem very switched
Yeah,
on.
I think the biggest challenge where I found a few months ago was, as I was like getting more and more clients, not feeling confident to say yes, or that you have to wait.
Yeah.
I found that I'm still having my corporate job and charging what I was charging. I found that I was losing my passion. So something that was driving me for this last, I don't
Yeah.
know, year and a half, I started losing it. And at some point, another session with a client wasn't something I was looking forward to. It was just like, oh, okay, another session.
Yeah.
Like, I was driving to the point, and that was an existential crisis for me because I thought I found my passion. And then I couldn't believe that I've lost it. And how is
Yeah.
it that I'm planning to leave my corporate if I lost my passion? What would I do it for? Then I'd have to find something else. But luckily, I was able to identify that it was just not a burnout, but something along the lines. And then once I scaled back on the amount of clients that I was having and found this kind of like perfect middle
Yeah.
that I can cope with right now, it came back.
I love that. It's really good to
So,
hear. Yeah.
so that was the moment where I was not about to give up, but okay, if I'm planning on doing this full time and I don't like it, then what is this a good idea for
Yeah.
real? Yeah.
Yeah. It's what am I doing? And it's almost, I understand it's like the edge of a burnout, but it's more frustration as well sometimes because you do put a lot of work in. And when you're going through that and you don't really see the results on the other side either, I can get it. But Tanya, thank you so much for joining me today and for sharing your incredible journey and insight with us. Where can our listeners reach out to work with you or connect with you if they would like to do?
I'd say on Instagram, that's where I'm most active. It's at the Finance Goddess.
Amazing. The Finance Goddess on Instagram. Beautiful stuff. Thank you again. And to our listeners, if you enjoyed this episode, please be sure to go and check out Tanya and all the amazing work that she's doing before those prices shoot up. And do not forget to subscribe to Founders Future via wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. And if you are a business owner, specifically a coach, consultant, or agency owner, and you're really looking to scale your business and you want to enhance your sales and marketing efforts, visit closers.io to hop on a call with one of our team and discover how we went from $0 to $30 million per year in less than 3 years. But until then, keep on climbing and we will see you on the next one.